Okay, so I want to try something different on the channel. I want to try some more Iron Man comics. I sat down for a while kind of wondering, okay, which run should I do? There were a lot of great writers when it came to Iron Man over the years, and I felt like we should do something that most people don't really talk about, and that was Kurt Busiek run on Iron Man in 1998. Yes, the late 1990s. Now, this was technically a very important run, and let me explain why. You see, back in 1996 and 1997, we had this special thing called Heroes Reborn. Now, Heroes Reborn was a way of Marvel answering the problem they had in the late 1990s for some of their books not selling. Now, the books that weren't selling were all the Avengers and also the Fantastic Four. Now, X-Men, Spider-Man, Ghost Rider, those books right there, they sold. But the Avengers, Fantastic Four, they weren't selling. And so after the big event, better known as Onslaught, you had all those heroes who weren't selling go into a alternate reality that was actually created by Franklin Richards. Now, in that reality, it was a way for Marvel to bring back some big name people to write and draw the characters that fans may have lost interest in. So, for example, you have Rob Liefeld come back over and do the Avengers and Captain America, and you had Jim Lee come back over to do Iron Man. It was a way to kind of see if they were able to bring fans back into those titles. The problem was, it didn't work out. And so in 1998, you had all those heroes be brought back over to the main Marvel universe. And so in 1998, you then had a brand new title for all those different heroes. Iron Man, Thor, Fantastic Four, Captain America, they all got their own books back. And we had new teams coming in to write those books. And so for Iron Man, we had Kurt Busiek be the one to write the brand new Iron Man series to kind of get things back on track for this character. Now, something else I should mention is that when it came to our heroes being in that other reality, well, the heroes who stayed behind in the main Marvel universe, but also like the public as well, they were kind of wondering what happened to those heroes. It led to the point where they truly believed that those heroes had died against Onslaught. But in reality, they were just in a different reality. And so when those heroes came back into the main Marvel universe, everyone had the same big question like, hey, where have y'all been at? Because y'all been gone for months. And so you had the heroes tell the public and the other heroes like, we were in a different reality, or we were just away, but now we're back on Earth again. But here comes the big problem though. Iron Man. You see, around this time in Marvel Comics, no one truly knew that Iron Man was Tony Stark, except maybe like a handful of people. And so because of that, Iron Man was gone, and so was Tony Stark. And so for Tony, he had to make up some kind of story. And he said, listen, I was basically being held by a terrorist group the entire time while Iron Man was gone, and I couldn't be saved until Iron Man came back from that other reality to actually save me. And so that is the story that he sold to the public, and honestly, they bought it. But see, while Tony was gone, another problem popped up. His company. You see, the question was, what would happen to his company if Tony was no longer around to actually defend it? Well, it got bought out by another company known as Fujikawa. And so while they were able to buy the company, they had combined it with their own company. And so the big question is right now, is Tony Stark going to be able to fight back for the control of his company? And if he does fight back for his company, will he be able to win the battle to get his company back? But also, does Tony Stark even want his company back in the first place? Now, when it comes to Iron Man, with him now being back in the world of Marvel Comics, his main goal is to, get back out there to make his presence known to the rest of the world that Iron Man is here to stay, that Iron Man is here to help out. So when it comes to Iron Man, he does get word that the Avalon Trading Building is currently being held up right now by some random robbers. Now, one of those robbers, his name is Vittorio Savani. And he is actually the leader of the crew that's trying to rob the place. Now, this section does not really last that long because once you have Iron Man being able to get there, he's able to take down the robbers very easily, but to also make sure that the hostages are not hurt either. And for Iron Man, this is a job well done. Now, with Iron Man being able to make his presence now known to the rest of the world, well, it's time for Tony Stark to make sure that his presence now known to the rest of the world. And so you have Tony going out of his way to throw a party at Stark Tower by inviting all the important people in New York. So like J. Jonah Jameson, or even Norman Osborn, and the list goes on. Matter of fact, you also have Foggy Nelson there as well. Now, for Foggy, it's really more the idea that he knows Tony very well because he helped out Tony in the past by being his lawyer. But like I said, it's a way for Tony to get back out there with all the people that he knew over the years in Marvel Comics. Now, the last two people he talks to who are really important is going to be Pepper Potts and also James Rhodes, his two close friends for a very long time. Now, before Tony had disappeared, Pepper Potts was actually married to Happy Hogan, another character who was somewhat close to Tony Stark. And so for Tony, he's wondering, hey, where is your husband? Now, we can already tell that something happened between her and Happy, but the thing is, she has not informed Tony they're no longer together. And so before she's able to tell Tony, well, he's then pulled away by somebody else. And that would be Morgan Stark. Now, Morgan Stark is kind of like the black sheep of the family for the Stark. He is a cousin to Tony Stark. Now, if Morgan is around, that usually means that trouble is not too far behind. And so for Tony, he's kind of wondering, why in the world is Morgan here for? He must be here to ask a favor. And yes, Tony is right. You see, when it came to Tony being gone, as we know, his company was bought out by Fujikawa. And so with the company being bought out, they brought in Morgan to help run things. And so this is Morgan saying, listen, we already know that you're going to try to fight to get your company back. But I, myself, is begging you to not do it because I finally have a position with some kind of power. So please, do not try to fight to get your company back so I am able to keep my kind of power that I actually have in this new version of your company. Now for Tony, he ignores everything and just walks away. But really, this conversation right here is really important because it's going to lead into what Tony wants to do next in his life. Now, you have Tony leave his party somewhat early to go outside to have some time to himself. Now, this is Tony who is trying to figure out what is going to be his next move in life. So when it comes to Tony, he realized that everyone truly knows what to expect for Tony when it comes to his next move for certain things going on in his life. So for example, everyone truly believes that Tony is going to try to fight to get his company back. And the thing is, they know if Tony does, most likely he is going to win. But that's the problem for Tony. He feels like all the moves he always takes in his life is because everyone knows what he is going to do. Everyone got used to Tony and his usual ways. He wants to be different so that people cannot expect what he is going to do next. But also, is Tony saying, when I look out into the city, I see a city that needs my help. But the problem is I can't help that city when I'm up here in my tower. I need to be down there to actually help the city out. And so this begins the process of Tony trying to build up, most likely, a new company in the world of Marvel Comics. Now, you didn't have Tony say, you know what? Let me go ahead and leave my tower for the night to walk around. And so he does. And so you have Tony head over to the latest building that's being built under the name of Maria Stark Foundation. You see, back in Avengers Annual number 11, all the way back in 1982, Tony Stark had built a foundation under his mom's name as a way to help build affordable homes for people to live in, but also community centers as well. And so while Tony was gone, well, really, as soon as Tony was able to come back, that foundation was able to build a huge tower that's going to have all these different homes that are actually affordable, but also a community center as well. A great thing for the city. And for Tony, he loves the idea that his foundation that he put under his mom's name is actually working out. But while you had Iron Man there just looking around the new building, well, that is the moment he is confronted by a new group of characters known as Death Squad. Now, when it comes to Death Squad, they only appear 2 times in Marvel Comics, and this is their first appearance, so you already know they only have 1 left and that's it. So when it comes to Death Squad, they were actually hired to kill off Tony Stark. But like I said earlier, they don't know that Tony is Iron Man. They truly believe that Iron Man is his bodyguard. Now Tony is able to run away and hide somewhere to be able to put on the armor suit. And so when Iron Man does arrive, he tells Death Squad like, you know, you're lucky that I got here to get my boss out of here in time, but now it's time for me to take you guys out. And so you have Tony being able to go toe-to-toe with Death Squad here. Now, after a few pages, and once you have Tony kind of realize how they attack and being able to take them down, you have Death Squad just dip the heck out of there. But for Tony, he has no idea who actually hired them. Now, after the battle, you didn't have Tony realize the entire building that was being built under his mom's name or under the name of the foundation was completely destroyed thanks to that battle against Death Squad. And so for Tony, this man is heartbroken because this building was going to do a lot for this community. And so by the next day, you had Tony realize what he wants to do next for his life. And he says, listen, I am not going to try to fight to get my company back. Instead, I am going to begin a new company, a company better known as Stark Solutions. Now, Stark Solutions is going to be like a freelance job. It's Stark saying you may hire me to help you out with your different kinds of problems. Now, I'm going to tell you, when you do hire me, it's going to cost you a lot of money, but all that money is going to go towards helping out this community, helping out people who are in need. And so it's me saying, you're not going to pay me the money. You're going to pay the different buildings that have to be built to help out the people in need. Now, once you have Tony make that announcement to the entire world, all his opponents, when it comes to people in business, are the villains who don't like Tony, are watching this news. And they said, we don't like that. So that means we have 3 options here. We have to control him, we have to watch him, or we have to destroy him. Either way, what he's doing right now could possibly be dangerous for all of his opponents. But this is where we are going to end today's comic book video. So please leave me a like down below and subscribe. Also, if you have any suggestions on books I should read, well, please let me know in the comments below, because you never know, your suggestion could be a future video down the road. But guys, see y'all next time. Later.